please.
The unsurpassed, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rarely met with even 100,000 billion kalpas. Now we can see and hear it, accept and maintain it. May we unfold the meaning of the Tathagata's truth.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Hokyoji's Sunday morning Dharma talk. I have the great honor to introduce Reverend Onryu Kennedy. She received transmission in both the Katagiri and Uchiyama Roshi lineages. In 2019 and 2020, she attended 3-month practice periods at Toshoji International Zen Center, Japan, and in 2017 at Tassajara Zen Mountain Center, California. In the spring of 2020 practice period at Toshoji, she was Shuso, head monk for the practice period. She completed zuise in January 2023, and in February 2024, her application for Kokusaifukuyoshi was approved by the Japanese Sotochu. Throughout her life, she has valued social justice work as an expression of her vow. She is currently an associate teacher at Hokyoji Zen Practice Community, and she experiences great joy in the opportunity to learn and teach Buddhist practices.
Thank you, Jushin.
Thank you.
It's good to see everybody. It's good to see everybody in this space and also in the virtual space. So I really appreciate everybody's presence. Before I begin, I want to offer homage and appreciation and acknowledgement. I offer homage to the indigenous nations whose stewardship we benefit today. Homage to our great Buddhist ancestors and our family ancestors who support us, whose shoulders we stand on. Homage to our teachers, including the birds, the trees, the insects, the mice. They too support us as we support them. Homage to our family and our friends who support our presence today in this space. We've been, some of us have been studying the roots of goodness, Eihei Dogen Zenji's fascicle on the 8 qualities of a great person or being / bodhisattva. It's been a very lively and invigorating discussion that we've had. And I've greatly appreciated the voices that have been brought into this conversation. My intention this morning is to just talk a little bit about what's been arising in relationship to this fascicle, because I don't think it's separate from the conditions that we're currently living in. I think there is relevance. So I'd like to just talk for a little bit and then open up the space and invite you to bring your voices into this space. So, how is this fascicle relevant in real? These are some of the questions I asked myself as I was going through this text and preparing for this week. How is this fascicle relevant in real time? And by real time, though it's inconceivable to this ordinary mind. What I mean by real time is every moment that's arising, appearing, disappearing, arising, presenting, disappearing. So I'm not just talking about days, weeks, months, years. I'm talking about a time that's inconceivable to this mind. What does it mean to be a great person? I don't know about you, but I'm like, I can't do that. I don't think I'm there. But what does it mean? Are bodhisattvas adults? What does it mean to be an adult? Do we as a culture need to deconstruct our biases in relationship to adulting? How do we manifest adulting in real time? And even as I'm saying that, I'm like, being adult, that's a drag, man. That's the last thing I want to be. I want to be a bodhisattva. So I just want to acknowledge my own biases about the word adult. It seems to be like a drag. I don't know how it is for you, so maybe during the discussion you can let me know. In the opening paragraph of Daitsu Tom Wright's introduction, he writes, both Shakyamuni Buddha and Eihei Dogen Zenji selected the qualities of a great person as a focus for their teaching at the end of their lives. No one knows for sure why they did so, but I believe that both, knowing their end would come soon, wanted to express what they felt to be most important in concretely practicing and living out their own life. I think that's really important because if any of us have had an opportunity to be present in the precious experience of a loved one or anyone in the dying process, one of the things that has been brought to my mind is how precious life actually is. And I don't know about you, but I would like to experience that preciousness of life right here, right now, in this moment. And not wait till I'm dying, dead, or whatever happens after that. Now is the time. And as we bear witness to the current violence and cruelty experienced by immigrant communities, Black, Indigenous, and brown bodies, LGBTQ, and people who are considered other, we may have a sense of this timelessness of this teaching. So it's not past. The cruelty which we are capable of is still happening in this moment. Both the Buddha and Dogen Zenji had direct experience of beauty and horror of human beings. Recently, I've been attending marches calls for clergy, and just being present at vigils. One of the things I was struck with at a recent march that I attended was people were wearing orange vests. And on those orange vests were the writings, "Don't shoot, peaceful observer." It kind of wonked my mind because people were wearing those vests everywhere throughout this march. And I've since seen them at clergy calls too. So it makes the struggle real for me. It's not an intellectual exercise for me. It's real. And also, I know that there's been marches this past weekend. There was a indigenous-led march yesterday from 10 to noon. There's a march today at 4:30. Hokyoji is like 3 hours from Minneapolis. And I want to say, Hokyoji is not separate from what's happening. We are intimately connected in remembering. And how do we do this? We've been acknowledging those who have died. Renee Good, Alex Preddy, throughout our liturgy this week. We've been acknowledging immigrant communities that have been affected by family separation, by their own well-being of housing, food, of their kids not being able to go to school. We've been remembering. And when we go home, we will show up to our capacity, because this is the practice. We're not separated in space and time. And how do we find connection? So Dogen talks about the 8 qualities of a great being. So I just want to briefly go through some of them, because some of you may not have been able to be present for our conversation. So I'd like to share with you some of the 8 qualities that we've been working through this week. Number 1 is having few desires, not being dragged around by the senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Discerning what emerges from greed and what is desired to sustain life. Eating, drinking, it's not about cutting off or getting rid of our desires. We need desires. We need desires to move in this relative world in which we live. Knowing one has enough. Uchiyama Roshi writes, an adult is one who, without whining, opens their eyes and attempts to live out this life, giving the most to life, whatever has been given. This is the awakening quality of Dainin. Dainin, Katagiri Roshi. He has the same characters as this Dainin. Great person, great being. The person who knows they have enough. This is really wowing to me and humbling at the same time. Also, I want to read to you just a sentence in the Samyutta Nikaya. If you want to look it up, it's chapter 1, verse 32. What it says is this, and I think it's relative or relevant and connected to knowing one has enough. Some provide from the little they have. Others who are affluent don't like to give. As offering given from those, what little one has is worth 1,000 times its value. And I don't know about you, but that's gold to me. It strikes me. Am I giving enough? Am I being generous enough? And that's just not with money. That's with all things. Appreciating serenity, quietude. Spending a period of time in a quiet and serene environment like Hokyoji. It's a gift. This helps to reveal and uncover what is actually going on inside and how this is manifesting outside, impacting the world I am connected to. What an opportunity to practice. Being able to look at my personality in relationship to what's happening and how it's affecting people. And I know, I gotta say, I know I have a strong personality. And I want you to know I am making diligent effort to my capacity. And I'm doing what I can. And I invite you, if you see me, you can give me feedback, or you can give it to another person, another associate teacher to give me feedback. Because that feedback helps to soften me. I don't know about you in relationship to feedback, but I consider feedback an act of care. I care enough about you to let you know this doesn't really work. And can we pivot? That's great care. Making diligent effort. Uchiyama Roshi writes, this is not about progress. So I just think that that's very important. Zazen, our practice, is not about progress. It's about acquiring something special. This effort is the life force that lives within all beings. And this life force connects us together in this larger network that is endless. So this effort is about the life force that lives in us, that lives in all beings. And how is that expressed? And how do we take care of each other in that expression? Not losing sight of the true Dharma. I kind of like this. Uchiyama Roshi states, not including deathing in living is to focus on survival. That really struck me, because many times I don't bring in the idea or the thought of deathing within my lived experience. But what he's saying here is that that focus is survival. And then he goes on to compare this survival to artificial flowers that become dusty and discolored and end up in the garbage. Our existence becomes expendable, like artificial flowers. I think that's quite lovely, that image, because if death isn't included, there's a narrative that doesn't really include life either. It's not thriving. Going beyond, living out a public self is the sense of perfection, dana. That's the first paramita, generosity, or unconditional giving, opening the hand of thought and responding with our life force to our capacity to what is actually happening. Yeah, what would it be like if we actually responded to ourselves and to each other to what's actually happening? And not the narrative that I'm making up about you, or you, or you. But I'm just responding to what you're actually saying, what you're actually doing, and who you actually are. I mean, how beautiful that would be. And then he talks about concentration and settling into samadhi, practicing wisdom, and not engaging in useless argument. I want to move forward a little more quickly because I want to invite people's voices into this conversation. One of the things that Dogen Zenji writes about is all Buddhas are great beings. What great beings practice is called the 8 awakenings. Practicing these awakenings is the basis for nirvana. This is the last teaching of our original teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, which he gave on the night he entered parinirvana. Shohaku Okumura has said that we don't need to wait till we die to experience nirvana, an equanimity in life, holding both the joy and the sorrow. That too is nirvana. It includes everything. Uchiyama Roshi writes, unless we constantly delve deeper into Buddha Dharma, one scoop at a time, we will only grow more stupid or senile out of habit or custom. However, digging up that one scoop is not an easy task. Uchiyama Roshi, he doesn't mince words. I kind of like him because he just says what he thinks, and I don't need to guess. That's beautiful. And I like what he writes. Though it's difficult to hear and practice. I don't like to think about being foolish or being stupid or being senile, but that often happens, I must admit, because of my humanity. That too will arise. The Buddha Dharma is boundless, and my understanding is often conditioned by historical karma. And what I hear Uchiyama Roshi saying is he's inviting me. He's inviting me to go beyond my conditioning and to dig deeper, go beyond my habits, go beyond what I think my capacity is, go beyond my current consciousness. And this is hard work for me. I don't know how it is for you, but it's hard work and it's endless. And what I find though, when I do this, is that it's liberating. It liberates me from the prison of my own mind, my own demons, my own thoughts. Oh yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about Václav Havel. I don't know how many of you are aware of him, but I think he's a bodhisattva. Mm-hmm. And he wrote The Power of the Powerless. And I think he wrote that in the 70s maybe. And I don't know exactly. I got the book in my room, but I didn't look up the date, but it's relevant. Havel asked the question. Havel was a Czech in the Czech Republic when the Soviets were invading the Czech Republic. How did the system sustain itself? How did these current conditions, how do they sustain themselves? And he tells a story about the green grocer. Every morning, the shopkeeper places a sign in the window, "Workers of the world, unite." It's a Soviet slogan. I don't know much about communism. I'm just talking in relationship to Václav Havel. That's it. He doesn't believe in this propaganda, and this is how he signals compliance. And because every shopkeeper on every street does the same, this compliance supports the system, not through violence alone, but through ordinary people knowing the signal is false. Havel called this living within the lie. The system's power comes not from the truth, but from everyone's willingness to perform it as if it were the truth. And that is fragility. When one person removes their window sign, the illusion begins to crack. Where I live in Minneapolis, I see signs everywhere. I see cracks everywhere. I see signs on light poles. I see signs on posts. I see signs on river bridges. And I see signs on trees. And these signs are cracks for non-compliance and resistance. And it's peaceful. We are here in this moment. The cracks are slowly happening in all directions. Each of us are called to live in our vow and pivot our historical and collective karma. This, to me, is what it means to be an adult. An ordinary person living their bodhisattva vow. Or another way, an ordinary bodhisattva offering their gifts for the benefit of all beings. Compliance will not be safety. No one is safe unless we are all safe. Many people have experienced cruelty and difficulties for centuries. This has impacted generations to the present. I think of Native peoples, Black and brown people, LGBTQ, immigrants, innumerable marginalized groups of people. It's going on today. We are all included in this network of interconnection. I want to continue to untangle my ignorance, my greed, my hatred, and show up as a true adult in this moment. This can only happen when I face the cruelty that lives within me. I am not separate. I am not separate from this violence. Zazen, turning the light inward and shining it as if it were a laser, is what is actually happening in this practice. This facing is untangling the karmic knot. We are all impacted, directly or indirectly, by the current circumstances and conditions we are in. It is imperative to discern, where do I place myself in relationship to what is happening? And entering into those spaces with Bernie Glassman's 3 tenets. Not, I don't know. Having beginner's mind. Bearing witness, turning towards it. Turning towards what's happening to my capacity. And then pausing and allowing a compassionate response to organically emerge. And my experience has been that it does happen. It's beyond what I am forcing or what I am thinking will happen. And I also believe this. We have, each of us, here, up there, where we live, the communities, we have trained our whole lives for this moment. And I believe the universe will meet us if we step forward. Yeah, I just want to say that. I believe in you. I believe in myself. We can do this. We've got this. And if we're tired, take a break and rest, and then come back. Because there'll be plenty of opportunities to show up and be present in a good way. I want to end with something Uchiyama wrote that has impacted me. As I've said so many times, I was born together with my own world, and I will live and die with that world. Ordinarily, people think that when we are born, we appear on the stage of an already existing world, and death is leaving the stage of that world. However, we don't believe in any such preconceived or conceptual world. Ultimately, I am born along with my world. I live in that world. And when I die, everything in my world dies with me. Now, that is the reality. I like that. Thank you. So I just want to open it up And I just want to say too, I realize that I have a little energy, and that energy comes from the practice. So I'm working on it. I'm working on that energy, but that energy too helps to sustain my life and helps me to do what I need to do. So thank you. So can we open it up to people? Comments, questions?
So I have a friend in Oakland. He's my oldest friend. I knew him back in college. Now she's a trans woman, bipolar, gone through a lot, seen a lot of things, much broader experience of different people than me. And when she's in a good state, she writes pretty long emails, and I got one this morning because she knew I'd have a break on Sunday and be able to read it. And she grew up in a family where her mother was a philosophy major, so whenever she would say something, her mother would say, "Well, how do you know that?" So incredible analytical mind. So I've been sending her emails about this connection to compassion and empathy. And so she has been exploring that and finding out. So what was in the email today was, some of us are born with certain genetic predilections, or that's not the right word, but anyway, movements of certain way, and then when we come into environment. So he said some people are more naturally reactive and kind of just more nervous and finding things. So this led her to understand, incredibly to me, that these federal agents are being exploited for their reactivity, just like young women were exploited by the Epstein network because they wanted a good life, and their prejudices, their genetic makeup, their environmental makeup wanted certain things, and that was exploited, just like these ICE agents are being exploited for their violence, for their sociopathic tendencies by people who have even greater sociopathic tendencies, but have more power. So the idea that these people are being exploited is like, this opens up a whole world for me of being compassionate to these poor federal agents who are in a terrible state of mind.
Thank you for that. Somebody has a hand up.
It's Carl.
Carl.
It's
Oh.
Carl.
Hartman.
Also just be the mouse cursor.
It might be the mouse cursor.
It was just the
It's,
No question.
Well, it's good to see you, Hartman. It's good to see all of you.
Might want to find out if they can hear.
GD. I'd be
Saren.
to offer a reflection, especially as your talk made some connections to me with what we've been studying for this week. You know, these 8 qualities of a great person, we've often talked a lot about capacity, right? It's our individual capacity to do these things, to kind of engage with these qualities. And you specifically mentioned kind of opening the hand of thought to what's happening. And I was kind of reflecting as someone who, you know, lives just slightly north of St. Paul, Minneapolis. The ways in which the events that have unfolded, not only in Minneapolis, but how that's impacted even, you know, my own community, kind of how I've re-looked at my capacity, right? Events happen, they push us to do more than we thought we could. And really, it's kind of been for me, I think, a realization that I've been maybe deluded about my capacity. There's more I could do. There's time that I can give and have given and resources. And I've checked in with local businesses, and I have sometimes had to educate and be compassionate towards the capacity of others, like my coworkers in other states, who simply see what's in the news but don't connect it to the people that they work with who live here. And there are times where that capacity has pushed me so outside of my comfort zone. There's nothing more you can do. And GD, you and I were together on the morning that we learned of Alex Preddy's murder. And all we could do is chant the Heart Sutra. And so I'm just, I think, incredibly grateful that these 8 qualities and this moment that we're in are at least giving me an opportunity to look at my capacity, and to be compassionate towards myself when I can't do it, and be compassionate to all of the things that others are doing that I can't do. And so I just wanted to offer that as my reflection. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a few more minutes before I close this circle. If anybody wants to bring their voice forward in the virtual space or in the Zendo.
I just want to say thank you to Ryushin also for his story from his friend, reminding us that the ICE personnel are people too. And, you know, in a certain sense, it makes it much more complex in terms of protesting, although it reminds us that we need to be compassionate towards them while we're protesting. And it's difficult because sometimes they truly are oppressing. And so it's obviously difficult to be compassionate towards your oppressor, which makes life pretty complicated. It's hard to know how to react, so to speak, to the whole situation. And I suppose it's a further reason to be peaceful in terms of protesting. I was really disappointed to see Alex's, that movie or the video that was like 11 days before he died, of him spitting on the officer and kicking the tail light and things like that. I thought, oh my gosh. You know, I mean, because we can't do that. So it makes it really difficult. And I think it further compels us to be peaceful.
I think it compels us to, or compels me to practice more, so that I do have the possibility of showing up peacefully in the midst of violence coming at people. Yeah, so it's...
Yeah. And just reminding me at the moment, I mean, when you think about what happened during Martin Luther King's, I mean, that whole nonviolent, you know, during that whole time, during the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, you know, about what they did, it's remarkable.
They were trained.
Remarkable.
They were trained in nonviolence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is remarkable.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Kim, do you have something?
Yeah. Well, and also in India, the movement of Gandhi, these people, you know, were, I don't know if you could say they were trained, but the numbers of people who were participating and the things that they stood up against, this blatant murder, I mean, it was incredible. And the result that they attained was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to what Ryushin said and what John followed up on with regards to regarding the ice agents with compassion. And I think that it opens up a new course of action with regards to protest. And that is appealing to the humanity in these people. For example, and this is not a well-developed thought, if we know that, I don't know exactly the number, about 1 in 10 of the people who are incarcerated have actually committed crimes. And we can say that 9 of the 10 of the people who you are beating and abducting are innocent people. They are your mother, they are your father, they're your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter, and just try to build that aspect of their compassion and have it hopefully modify their behavior. I think it's an approach that is consistent with our values, it's consistent with increasing awareness. And does it lead to a result? We don't know, there's no guarantees, but it seems like an approach that has a lot of positives.
This is Shinko Marilyn here. I don't know, I'm kind of behind the whatever. Here I am. You can't see me on screen. So when I think about evaluating and taking a look at my capacity, sometimes I don't know what the options for action are. And I just wanted to say that Hokyoji as a board, and I'm president of the board, but we took a vote at the last meeting to create an opt-in listserv that will distribute information about opportunities. And you might have guessed that just by kind of looking at me in the 60s and 70s, I was not a demonstrator. I've been walking. And so it's small, but it's significant for me. And so I wanted the community, particularly, well, in the Zendo and online, to keep an eye out for an opt-in tab, if you will, that may give you an opportunity for opportunities in order to look at one's own capacity. Thank you.
And thank you, Kim, for your bringing forward your reflection. Yonin.
May I just say that I appreciate Ryushin's comments because it reminds me of a Dharma talk that Musho gave a couple of weeks ago where he talked about the fact that we sit with all beings, and that would include not just the immigrants who are being oppressed, but also the agents that are oppressing them. We sit with them as well. And I really appreciate also Siren's comments because it really struck me that perhaps I have not been looking at my capacity, what I can do more than I thought I could do, and go beyond that and get out of my comfort zone. Thank you, Siren. Thank you.
I don't want to take credit for that thought. That was the thought of my friend Doug.
You take credit for your thought and bring it forward. Thank you.
Okay, so let's close. Thank you all for your comments, your reflections, and your offerings.
May our intention equally penetrate every being in place with the true merit of the Buddha way. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it.
Thank you all very much.
Next week,
Oh,
it will be me.
yes. Mr. Jushin.
Oh,
Yes. Please come.
Please come.
Thank
Take care.
you. Bye-bye.
bye.
So we're just going to finish packing and tidying